I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from?
Father of all mercy, we come quietly into your presence as evening light settles over our homes and the unseen weight of family stories rests on our hearts. You who see the rooms where laughter once lived and the corners where silence has grown. You who know the names spoken with tenderness and the names remembered through tears. We breathe your nearness into the places where love has been strained and trust has thinned, asking you to rebuild what time, fear, and misunderstanding have tried to undo. Because unless you guard the house, our striving becomes weary and our hands grow tired. And tonight, we confess how much we need you to stand watch over every doorway of our families, over marriages that feel fragile, over parents who worry in the night, over children learning who they are, over generations still finding their way toward one another. And as these words move like a soft wind through the soul, if you feel the ache of your own family rise within you, allow your heart to lean closer and breathe this longing with me. For you are a God who does not delight in separation, but in healing bonds, a God who gathers what has been scattered and protects what has been planted, and we rest here without hurry, trusting that your love is already at work where ours has fallen short, guiding us gently forward into hope that is still unfolding. Lord, as we remain here in this quiet, unfolding prayer, we remember how families begin as gifts, breathed into existence by your design, woven together with purpose before we ever knew how fragile love could feel. And you see the vows once spoken with trembling joy, the promises whispered over cradles, the dreams carried like light into shared futures. Yet you also see how pain entered softly and stayed longer than expected, how words became sharp, how distance grew where closeness once lived. And still your heart has never turned away from what you joined together, for you do not abandon the work of your hands. And you grieve every fracture that love did not intend, every night spent apart in spirit even when bodies remained near. And we ask you now to move gently through these memories, touching them with mercy rather than shame, reminding us that restoration begins not with force, but with grace. And if your chest tightens as old moments surface, let yourself stay here and offer them quietly to God with me, trusting that He can hold even what still hurts, because you are the keeper of covenant, the defender of unity, the one who shelters hearts when storms rise within the walls of home. And we continue resting in your presence, knowing this story is not finished and your compassion is still speaking. God of gentle rebuilding, we feel you moving closer as we linger in this sacred space, like a craftsman returning to a home long neglected yet deeply loved. And you run your hands over the beams of our families, seeing where pressure has cracked patience and where silence has weakened trust. And you do not accuse, you simply begin restoring, reminding us that love was never meant to be disposable, that hearts were not designed to be discarded when seasons grow heavy. And you grieve what was torn apart by anger, fear, or weariness, because separation was never your desire. And still, you offer a path back toward one another through humility, forgiveness, and time soaked in grace. And we ask you to soften the hardened places within us, the defenses we built to survive but that now keep love at a distance, and teach us again how to listen without preparing a reply, how to speak without wounding, how to stay when it would be easier to leave. And if there is a relationship your spirit keeps returning to right now, let it rest in your open hands as we breathe together, trusting God to work beyond what you can control. For you are patient where we rush, faithful where we falter, and present in every slow step toward healing. And we remain here with you, allowing hope to deepen like roots beneath the surface, unseen yet alive, holding what still stands and what is yet to be restored. Faithful protector, we sense your covering spreading quietly over our households like dawn over a resting city. And you see every unseen fear that parents carry, every silent prayer whispered over sleeping children, every unspoken concern about futures we cannot control. And you remind us that watchfulness rooted in love is different from worry born of fear, because you are the one who guards when our strength fades, who keeps watch when our eyes grow heavy. And we ask you to stand between our families and the harm we cannot foresee, shielding hearts from bitterness, minds from confusion, and relationships from the slow erosion of neglect, teaching us how to build homes filled not only with walls but with safety, tenderness, and truth, where apologies are not rare, and grace is not withheld. And if you feel the desire to place someone specific under God's care right now, speak their name softly within your heart as we pause together, trusting that He hears even what is never spoken aloud. For you are attentive to every detail, present in every room, steady in seasons when stability feels distant, and we stay here, letting your peace settle deeper, believing that protection is not control but trust, and that your presence within a family is the strongest refuge love could ever know. Loving Father, as this prayer continues to breathe, we turn our hearts toward the quiet wounds that linger beneath familiar smiles, the misunderstandings that were never fully named, the apologies that felt too heavy to speak, and you see how these unhealed places echo through generations, shaping how love is given and received. Yet you are not intimidated by history or repetition, for you are the Redeemer who enters family lines and gently interrupts patterns of pain with mercy, teaching us that what was broken before us does not have to define what comes after. And we ask you to release us from inherited fear, from learned distance, from the belief that conflict must end in separation, and replace it with courage to choose reconciliation even when it feels vulnerable. And if there is a moment from your past pressing into your awareness right now, let it rise without resistance and be offered quietly to God alongside mine, trusting that His grace reaches backward as well as forward. For you are the one who heals roots as well as branches, who restores not only relationships, but the way hearts learn to love. And we remain here, allowing your Spirit to gently rewrite what once seemed fixed, believing that in your hands, family stories can still bend toward light. Gentle Shepherd, we stay within this flowing prayer as you draw near to the spaces where love feels tired, where effort has been mistaken for obligation and presence for endurance, and you understand how daily routines can quietly dull affection, how survival can replace delight, and still you do not condemn the weary heart. You invite it to rest and be renewed, reminding us that love is sustained not by perfection, but by intention, by small choices made again and again under your watchful care. And we ask you to breathe fresh tenderness into ordinary moments, into shared meals, into conversations that feel repetitive, into nights that pass without words, so that connection may be rekindled not through grand gestures, but through simple faithfulness. And if you sense a longing for warmth where coldness has crept in, allow that desire to rise gently and sit with us here before God, trusting that He delights in restoring closeness. For you are the one who turns hearts back toward one another, who teaches us how to see familiar faces with renewed compassion. And we remain here, unhurried and open, believing that even quiet love, when held in your presence, can grow strong again and protect what has been entrusted to it. Holy God, we feel the depth of your care as this devotion carries us further, and you look with tenderness upon families walking through seasons of tension, where words are chosen carefully or not at all, where love exists but feels buried beneath disappointment, and you know how easily pride can harden into distance, how fear of being misunderstood can silence the heart, yet you remain near, whispering courage where walls have been built, inviting honesty to replace avoidance. And we ask you to create safe spaces within our homes, where truth can be spoken without punishment and vulnerability can be met with compassion, teaching us how to pause before reacting, how to seek understanding instead of victory, and how to remember that unity matters more than being right. And if there is something unsaid resting heavily within you right now, let it be gently acknowledged here in God's presence as we breathe together, trusting that He can prepare the way for words spoken in love. For you are the God who reconciles without rushing, who restores without shaming, and who patiently guides hearts back toward one another. And we stay here, allowing your wisdom to settle into us, believing that even difficult conversations can become doorways to deeper connection when you are at the center. Ever-present Lord, as this prayer continues to unfold like a quiet river, we bring before you the families who feel stretched across distance, divided by circumstances, choices, or seasons beyond their control. And you see the empty chairs at tables, the messages left unread, the longing carried across miles and time zones. And still, your love is not limited by proximity, for you knit hearts together even when paths separate. And we ask you to guard connections that feel fragile, to protect affection from fading, and to keep misunderstanding from taking root where communication feels thin. teaching us how to remain present in spirit even when we cannot be present in body, and how to love faithfully without clinging or fear. And if there is someone far from you whose presence you deeply miss, let their image rest gently in your thoughts as we offer them to God together, trusting that He spans every distance with care. For you are the God who keeps watch over departures and returns, who remains faithful across every season of absence. And we remain here, held in the assurance that no separation is invisible to you, and that love, when entrusted to your keeping, is never truly lost. Restoring God, we stay within this gentle current of prayer as you turn your attention to families standing at crossroads, where decisions feel heavy and the future seems uncertain, and you see how fear of repeating old mistakes can paralyze love, how hesitation can delay healing. Yet you remain the God who guides step by step, never demanding clarity before offering peace, and we ask you to grant wisdom that is calm rather than rushed, discernment that listens more than it speaks, and courage that chooses faithfulness even when outcomes remain unseen, helping us trust that obedience to love matters more than perfect timing. And if you feel unsure about a choice that affects those you love, allow that uncertainty to rest here in God's presence as we breathe together, trusting that He leads gently and guards faithfully. For you are the one who walks ahead of our families, preparing paths we cannot yet see, and we remain here without forcing answers, believing that as long as you are the foundation, every step taken in love will be held, protected, and guided by your steady hand. Faithful guardian, we remain attentive as this prayer carries us deeper into your sheltering presence, and you look upon families facing external pressures that strain what is already tender, the demands of work, the weight of finances, the noise of a world that pulls attention away from what matters most, and you understand how easily stress can disguise itself as anger, how exhaustion can masquerade as indifference, yet you do not overlook these burdens. You meet them with provision and peace, and we ask you to quiet the anxiety that seeps into our homes, to replace tension with patience, and to teach us how to protect one another rather than turn against each other when pressure rises, reminding us that love is strengthened when carried together. And if you feel the weight of responsibility pressing on your chest right now, let it be gently released here into God's care as we pause together, trusting that He supplies what we lack. For you are the provider who sustains households, the protector who shields relationships from breaking under strain, and we remain here, allowing your peace to steady our breathing, believing that even in demanding seasons, families rooted in you can remain whole, guarded, and held in grace. Everlasting God, we continue resting within this living prayer as you draw near to families learning how to forgive again, sometimes for the first time and sometimes for the thousandth. And you see how forgiveness can feel like weakness when wounds are still tender, how trust takes longer to rebuild than it did to break. Yet you never rush the heart beyond what grace can sustain, and you remind us that forgiveness is not forgetting, but choosing freedom over bitterness, release over resentment. And we ask you to give us strength to loosen our grip on past hurts, to lay down the need for repayment, and to allow healing to unfold at its own pace, knowing that restoration is often quiet and gradual. And if there is a face or a moment that stirs resistance within you right now, let that feeling be gently acknowledged here as we sit together before God, trusting that He can soften what still feels guarded. For you are the God who restores trust piece by piece, who honors honest process, and who remains present in every fragile attempt to love again. And we stay here, believing that forgiveness held in your hands becomes protection for the future and space for families to breathe freely once more. Patient healer, we remain carried by this prayer as you turn toward families learning how to rebuild trust in small, fragile ways, where words are measured and hope feels cautious. And you understand how past fractures make hearts vigilant, how love can hesitate after being wounded. Yet you never shame the slow pace of healing. You honor it, reminding us that safety is restored through consistency, gentleness, and time spent in your presence. And we ask you to steady our reactions, to teach us how to show up faithfully even when reassurance is needed again and again, helping our homes become places where promises are kept quietly and care is proven through action, not urgency. And if you feel a longing for stability where things once felt unpredictable, allow that desire to surface softly here as we breathe together, trusting that God is patient with the rebuilding process. For you are the one who strengthens foundations unseen, who repairs what was shaken without drawing attention to the cracks. And we remain here, believing that under your watchful care, trust can grow again. Not suddenly, but securely, protecting families as they learn how to stand together once more. Gracious Lord, we stay within this unfolding devotion as you look upon families learning how to love across differences, where personalities clash, perspectives diverge, and expectations do not always align. And you see how easily comparison and judgment can erode patience, how small irritations can grow loud when understanding feels distant. Yet you remain the God who delights in diversity, held together by grace, reminding us that unity does not require sameness, but humility, curiosity, and kindness. And we ask you to teach our families how to make room for one another's stories, how to listen without defensiveness, how to honor boundaries without withdrawing affection, so that love becomes spacious rather than strained. And if there is someone in your family you struggle to understand right now, let their presence be gently acknowledged here, with an open heart, as we sit before God together, trusting that He can widen compassion where it feels narrow. For you are the one who softens sharp edges and creates harmony without erasing identity. And we remain here, believing that when love is rooted in you, differences can become bridges rather than barriers, protecting relationships as they grow deeper and more resilient over time. Steadfast Lord, we continue held within this quiet stream of prayer as you watch over families learning how to remain present through change, when seasons shift and roles evolve, when children grow, parents age, and familiar rhythms are gently rewritten. And you see how transitions can stir fear of loss even as they carry seeds of growth, yet you remain constant, the same faithful presence anchoring every generation. And we ask you to grant our families grace to adapt without drifting apart, to bless new beginnings without forgetting shared roots, teaching us how to honor what has been while welcoming what is becoming, and to protect our love from hardening into nostalgia or anxiety. And if you feel the tender pull of change touching your family right now, let that feeling rest here with us before God as we breathe together, trusting that He is near in every transition. For you are the God who walks with us through thresholds, who keeps households steady when paths feel unfamiliar. And we remain here, believing that under your care, change does not threaten love, but can deepen it, strengthening bonds that are willing to grow while staying grounded in your faithful presence. Protecting Father, we remain within this living prayer as you draw close to the quiet spiritual atmosphere of our homes, the unseen tone that shapes how peace or tension settles into everyday life. And you know how easily harsh words, unspoken resentment, or constant distraction can thin the sense of safety that love needs to breathe. Yet you are the one who establishes households in your peace, who fills ordinary spaces with calm that does not depend on circumstances. And we ask you to guard the emotional and spiritual climate of our families, to stand at the thresholds of our hearts and keep out what would slowly erode affection, replacing it with patience, kindness, and gentleness that feels like refuge. And if you sense a longing for peace to dwell more deeply where you live, allow that desire to rise softly here as we rest together before God, trusting that He delights in homes marked by His presence. For you are the God who brings order without force and rest without withdrawal. And we remain here, believing that when you are welcomed daily, our families become places of restoration, safety, and quiet strength, protected not by perfection, but by your abiding love. Faithful Redeemer, we stay with you as this prayer nears its deepest places, and you turn your gaze toward families standing on the edge of reconciliation, where pride and longing wrestle quietly within the same heart, where the desire to protect oneself competes with the hope of being known again. And you understand how difficult it can be to take the first step back toward one another, to risk tenderness after disappointment, yet you never demand courage without offering grace. And we ask you to gently lower the barriers we have learned to call safety, to replace defensiveness with humility, and to teach us that strength is often found in returning rather than retreating. And if there is a moment right now when you feel both afraid and hopeful about restoring a relationship, allow that mixed feeling to be held here with mine as we sit before God together, trusting that He honors honest hearts. For you are the God who meets us in the middle, who walks toward us even when our steps feel uncertain, and we remain here, believing that under your patient guidance, reconciliation can unfold slowly and sincerely, protecting families as love finds its way back into shared ground once more. God of abiding love, we arrive together at this final stretch of prayer, still held within your presence, and you look upon our families not as they are alone, but as they can become under your faithful care, seeing every effort toward healing, every quiet prayer spoken in weakness, every moment when love chose to stay instead of walking away, and you delight in restoring what you have joined, in protecting what has been rebuilt with tenderness and trust. And we thank you for being the foundation when our strength was not enough, the shelter when storms pressed hard against the walls of home, and the gentle voice guiding hearts back toward one another. And as we stand here in gratitude and hope, if your spirit feels ready to entrust your family fully into God's hands, allow that surrender to rise softly within you, and rest here with me. For you are the Lord who establishes households in peace, who guards love through every season, and who blesses generations with faithfulness. And now may your blessing rest upon every family listening. May your peace settle into their homes. May forgiveness flow freely. May love be protected and restored. And may your presence remain like a warm light through every room, today and always. And if this prayer has touched your heart, if it has spoken to your family's story in ways words alone could not, allow that gratitude to move gently through you, sharing this moment with someone you love and offering a quiet sign of support, so that this prayer may travel beyond this space and rest in other homes that need the same hope, the same protection, and the same restoring love of God.